The global entertainment world fell silent again in a moment that cannot be taken for granted. In the midst of a torrent of instant popularity, purposely created controversy, and a spotlight often focused more on sensation than meaning, one name stands at the top in a different way. Global number one. Not because of scandals, not because of gimmicks, not because of empty sensations. Jungkook once again proved that true popularity can still go hand in hand with real positive impact. When the global chart ladder showed his name at the top, the world's reaction was not only amazed, but also asked, how can an artist feel so human? How could his sky-high popularity not distance him from the simple values that are increasingly rarely seen in the entertainment industry today? Jungkook doesn't just dominate the numbers. He dominates the conversation. On social media, the name is trending not only because of the song that was played millions of times, but because of the story behind it. Because of his attitude. Because the way to be present without having to shout. While many celebrities compete to show off their achievements, Jungkook is known for his humility. When the world demands thrills, he answers with consistency and hard work. This global number one position came not overnight. It is the accumulation of years of dedication that often escapes the camera. Long workouts, sleepless nights, mental stress that not everyone can bear, and a huge responsibility as a world-class public figure. But behind it all, Jungkook still brings one thing that he never let go. The realization that popularity is not an end in itself, but a tool. The positive impact he creates is felt far beyond music. In many countries, Jungkook's story is an inspiration to young people who have doubts about their own dreams. Many see him not just an idol, but living proof that consistent hard work still has a place in a fast-paced and often cruel world. It doesn't come from a perfect background. He grew up with stories of struggle, with family being his biggest reason for surviving, and with a sense of responsibility that was formed from a very young age. When a song tops the global charts, it's not just the streaming numbers that go up, but the messages. A message about the courage to remain yourself in the midst of market demands. A message about the importance of preserving human values even as the world continues to test its limits. The message that success doesn't always have to be wrapped in arrogance. The public reaction to this achievement was different. Not just a congratulation, but a haru expression. Many fans admitted that they cried not because Jungkook was number one, but because they felt they had grown up with him. From a teenager who used to stand nervously on stage to a global figure who influenced millions, Jungkook's journey has been personal to many. International media began to highlight one and the same thing, that Jungkook is a rare phenomenon in modern industry. A star who doesn't lose her way when the world gives her everything. At a time when many public figures are caught up in the image and pressure of expectations, Jungkook is increasingly showing his authentic side. It does not build distance. He did not create a wall between himself and the public. That's precisely what makes its impact feel so powerful. The global number one is also a silent answer to the doubts and criticisms that have accompanied him. That the music is too emotional. That his approach is too honest. That he is too human for an industry that often demands false perfection. But precisely therein lies its strength. The world has finally chosen honesty over pretense. Jungkook's positive impact is also evident in how he uses his influence. Without long speeches, without noisy campaigns, he showed through actions. Through mutual respect, through empathetic messages, through the way he talks about being tired, about pressure, about the importance of taking care of yourself. This little thing, when it comes from a global number one, has an incredibly big echo. For the entertainment industry, Jungkook's achievement is a powerful reminder that long-term success is not built on momentary sensations, that the global audience is getting smarter, more sensitive to authenticity, and that positive impact is not a weakness, but a real strength. At this point, Jungkook isn't just an artist. It has become a symbol that popularity doesn't have to come at the expense of value. The symbol that being at the top does not mean having to move away from reality. The symbol that being global number one can stay in line brings hope, inspiration, and warmth to many. When the world sees the number one next to their name, what they are actually witnessing is the result of a long journey full of meaning. A testament that in the midst of the bustle of the global industry, there is still room for sincerity. And Jungkook, in his calm yet powerful way, has filled that space with an impact that won't be easily forgotten. The narrative continues not as an empty celebration, but rather as a deeper reading of what the global #1 position means when it's in the hands of someone like Jungkook. Because the higher the spotlight, the clearer the difference between fragile popularity and lasting influence. And it was at this point that the world began to realize that Jungkook wasn't just at the top. He was changing the way the top was interpreted. In every track record of his career, there is always a consistent red thread. Jungkook never pursued validation by force. He does not sell wounds, does not manipulate public emotions, nor does he use conflict to raise his name. Quite the contrary, he often looks restrained. Silence when attacked, calm when provoked, focus when the world expects it to react. It was this attitude that slowly but surely built global public confidence in him. When its position was declared global #1, many industry analysts called it a rare phenomenon. Not only because of his outstanding statistical achievements, but because of the durability of his image. Jungkook is an example of how an artist can grow without leaving the earliest version of himself. He is not trapped in a false persona. It is growing, but remains recognizable. Behind his massive popularity, Jungkook carries a burden that is not light. His every move was observed. Each expression is analyzed. Every silence is interpreted. But instead of collapsing under that pressure, he cultivated it into strength. He chose to be present as he was. Not always cheerful, not always perfect, and precisely because of that, it feels real. For many fans in different parts of the world, Jungkook is not just an idol but a mirror. Mirrors about the struggle are silent. About fatigue not always announced. It's about the courage to keep going even when the world demands more than is human. This positive impact cannot be measured by numbers, but is felt in small stories that appear in comments, discussion forums, to private messages shared by listeners. There is a story of a teenager who regained confidence after hearing Jungkook's song when he was down. There are stories of hard workers who found the spirit to persevere because they saw Jungkook's consistency over the years. There are also confessions of parents who feel calm because their children idolize figures who do not glorify self-destruction or destructive lifestyles. This is a form of impact that is rarely discussed in chart reports. An impact that cannot be presented in a graph but lived in real life. Jungkook indirectly teaches that being big does not mean having to lose empathy. That success does not have to be accompanied by an attitude of feeling the most correct. The global media began to place Jungkook in a broader discourse. He is no longer just talked about as a product of the K-pop industry, but as a global cultural figure. Someone who influenced the way the younger generation viewed hard work, fame, and the meaning of achievement. And most importantly, he did it without preaching. This global #1 also carries a strong message for the international entertainment industry. That today's audience is no longer captivated solely by sensations. They're looking for a connection. They are looking for honesty. They're looking for someone they can trust. Jungkook, with all his imperfections, answered that need in the midst of increasingly aggressive competition. Where many artists are willing to do anything for attention, Jungkook keeps going to his own rhythm. He was in no hurry to prove anything. It doesn't panic when compared. He understands that travel is not about who is the noisiest, but who is the most consistent. There is a certain silence in the way Jungkook celebrates his success. There is no excessive euphoria. There is no self-declaration as the best. There is a quiet sense of gratitude. And it is this calmness that makes many people feel safe with him, even if only as spectators from a distance. When history turns to this era, Jungkook's achievements as global #1 will probably be recorded in numbers and records. But more important is the legacy he left behind. The legacy of how popularity can be used to reinforce value, not erode it. About how influence can be a healing tool, not an additional stress.